I'll probably stand like more here.
Got too much light in the background that way. This way will be better.
This way.
All right. So I just want to have you and me in the frame when we're talking for starters. I wonder if this thing defaults to some zoom or something. It's awfully.
Can that hear us over here?
What's that?
It can hear us over here?
I don't know. That's one thing I don't like about it. I've already spent half a day researching mics. All right, so we're still at Union. This is our second shot.
So I discovered a nice, beautiful monument. It's just been set. It's just a headstone. And it's pretty simple. It's not within the road. So I'm trying to figure out why that happened and who's responsible for it not being set in the correct spot.
Is this the row you're referring to right here?
Yes, it is.
So why is it like that? Probably maybe there's a tree root or something.
That's a poor excuse to me. I've been doing this for years, and I feel this is a poor excuse to set one of those. But, so this should be moved back, just in order to be nice and consistent with the line that you're supposed to have in a cemetery.
And why is it so important that everything line up?
It's super important because that family purchased a plot, a single plot.
So somewhere in here, we're
That's
probably
right.
not exactly sure, and that's how it ends up here, right?
That's right. And so this took planning to put this here.
Yeah.
So how does this get planned to be put in the wrong spot? So that brings to question, was the burial in the wrong spot as well?
Yeah.
So
But you're saying that El Dorado County usually gives you 4 corner pins.
yes,
And so you're saying they got those, but it ended up here anyway, fairly recent.
right. And I mean, as a professional, I see a line, I go off of that line.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make sure it's straight within the border because that family member purchased that plot for a reason. And if you're 2 inches over, you're possibly in someone else's plot, and that's not fair to that person.
Right.
And also when you set a monument, say this was a bigger monument, well, you only have so far to go. If that monument is shifted over into a plot because it's not measured properly, then you have a problem of the next one not being able to fit in its own plot. And again, that's not fair.
Now, is there any way of knowing if this is a full body burial or cremains based on looking at the disturbance of the earth?
Me looking at it myself, I would say it's a cremains. There shouldn't be any burials near this oak tree.
Yeah, and that's also why this was done in 2015.
Right.
And so we don't see any disturbed earth. So this is Vern and all these people on the
Right.
walls
So this
here.
would most likely be,
A family
it should be a
cremains plot.
family cremains, and it's because it's within the drip line of an oak tree.
And so, okay, and within the drip line, which of course this is how far out the canopy extends, not
Correct.
how far out the drip irrigation goes,
Correct.
which is what I thought it was for the first 2 years I was a reporter. So within the canopy, you're only supposed to have, or what's the restriction within the canopy?
So within the canopy, all you could have is cremated remains,
Got
or
it.
just a memorial stone.
Got it. And so some of the full body burials might be from before the tree was here, before it was big or something?
Correct. Or before the rules were set.
All right. Any idea how far back do you go? When did those types of rules come into play?
No, I'm not sure on the drip line.
All right, so I've now got my phone video going and this one, so we're going one way the audio might be better on this one.
Okay.
What about the other alignment now? When this clearly bothers you as a professional.
Right, absolutely.
All right, as well it should.
Absolutely.
Now, as of now, it bothers me too. Okay, just so you know. Now, what about the other dimension here?
So yeah, I mean, you should have a consistent line of headstones.
All right, I'm going to go point the camera that way. Keep talking.
So I mean, you should have a consistent line of headstones in a row.
And do we?
At this point, we do not, and that could be a reason. There could be a good reason for that. It could be the family owns 2 plots and they have 1 headstone over 2 plots, which is fine. That's within the rules and the guidelines.
All right, now what do you see with regard to eras? I mean, different portions, this is a big cemetery, different portions of this place were populated in different time frames.
Yeah,
how does that affect the grid thing you're talking about right now?
So, I mean, really, if you don't have clear records of the actual layout of the cemetery, then you're going to be setting stuff in the wrong spot. So when I look at the old stones, they were set in the correct manner. So they were set within its boundaries where it should be 100% of the time. And you look down the years that came and you could see it getting out of line.
Yeah.
You could see it not being set the way it should be because they didn't have the same masons that they did back in the days.
And how long have you been personally paying attention to the cemetery? Like what year did you get it? How did it?
2003 is when I started.
What triggered that?
So it was actually working for a mortuary and a cemetery, and
Local?
very local. And we had like the county contract, so we'd do all the county burials. We'd be out here setting stones for those families. And when I did them, I would make sure that I would double check if I didn't know. I wouldn't just set it there and say that's fine, and I would second guess the decision that was made prior to me even being here.
Yeah.
So
How'd that go over?
it went over. I mean, they would come and they
understood.
They would check it out again, and they would either leave it there or they'd say, "All right, you're right, it needs to move." And oftentimes, I would do a full body dig, and we'd run into cremated remains or an actual burial that had already been.
Oh God!
Interred.
Really? So you're digging a grave,
Yep.
and right where the county told you to go, and you're getting bones.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, that's got to be a grisly day.
Yeah, it is a grisly day. And so, I mean, they say that they survey these cemeteries and they know they did ground GPS. So they should know.
GPR, and no,
GPR, and
they didn't.
so-
They'd never done it here.
So, you know, this was several years ago now when I was digging graves
Yeah.
up here. And now I work for a monument company and I set monuments. So I'm still in the cemetery.
You're moving on up.
That's right. So I really love my job, and it's beautiful working in cemeteries, but it's sad when I see a cemetery that's so misplaced, and it has so much potential to be something huge in the city that people can come up and look at just to see.
And get the feel for the history of the place.
That's right, and there's famous people buried here too that the county doesn't even hardly know about.
Yeah.
You've actually mentioned some to me that I didn't know about, and it's really amazing that there's people here that had so much knowledge in the days and they were just forgotten about, but they're sitting right here in Placerville.
And what's interesting is because of the popularity of genealogy, thanks to Ancestry.com, I guess, and the graves portion of it via a website called Find a Grave, it's a whole hobby.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm going to Tennessee to see some family later this summer, and I can't wait to go to the graveyard.
Yeah. Yeah. It's beautiful here, and another issue that I see all the time is it's overgrown.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, it's understandable at certain times of the year, but other times of the year, it makes me wonder where the money actually goes. Because I know somebody's supposed to be taking care of this place.
Well, there's just not enough money committed, I think, Mike. I think that's my understanding of that problem.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can zoom into that area. They didn't. This is not fair to the groundskeepers because they've cut most of the rest of this cemetery here. It's early spring, and I just zoomed in on the one part they didn't get to yet. So if anybody's ever looking at this, and this part over here they also didn't get to. So, Mike, you and I have talked. We got you all lined up here, and you appear to look okay on the camera. So, I'd like to ask. You and I talked about possibly a cooperative venture of some sort. You know, I'm with this committee for the county as a volunteer, and you have this knowledge and this passion for these places. And so, maybe you could sort of recap your offer and the extent of your willingness to work with us to improve these places.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would love to be able to assist in helping people understand how a cemetery should be laid out. I feel I'm a profession at this point because I've been to so many cemeteries, and I have a lot of knowledge in what's going on out here. So I just feel it's important to share that knowledge with somebody who actually cares as well. And if that's 5 people in the community that can get 20 more people up here to help,
yeah, that's what we're hoping. That's what we're hoping to do.
I can more than likely, you know, I will commit myself to helping and making sure that we get the people in here that would actually make a
Yeah,
difference.
well, we're just going to need some guidance and oversight, you know,
Yeah.
and
But I would love to be able to assist in straightening the cemetery, making it beautiful again.
okay, so as we talk throughout this day, and I don't have you forever, you've got a baby and a wife at home, so we're going to cut you loose here pretty quick, but I would like you to, as we look at some of the problems with the headstones and the other issues we've got here,
Right.
talk about what it's going to take somebody in the industry to fix, and what we might be able to do with Air Corps cadets.
Right. So, I
If
mean,
anything, I mean, I don't know if we want Air Corps cadets out here with shovels,
Yeah.
and so maybe there's nothing for them to do. If that's the case, I don't know. But we also have the CCC. I don't know if you know those guys,
Yes, I do.
but they'll come out for any nonprofit. And again, we are affiliated with a legitimate, long-standing, highly reputed nonprofit here, which is really convenient
Yeah.
for things like that.
Yeah.
That means that they can just work with us, and you know, if you buy them a Subway sandwich, if it's a foot long, they're like totally stoked.
That's right. Buy them 10, they're even more happy.
Yeah, they're glad to get out of where is it? A Greenstone.
Greenstone.
What's the road between Cool and Georgetown?
Yeah, Greenstone.
Greenstone?
Growlersburg.
No. The CCC is. Oh gosh, I'm really embarrassed. Anyway, they're way the hell out in the woods,
Yeah,
and so so let's turn this off and go someplace else.